So there comes a time when you realize that you're not just stressed out, you're not just tired, you're misaligned. So for a long time, I tried to convince myself that what I was feeling was normal, that maybe the job was tough, or I was just having a bad day at work, or maybe if I took a little extra time off, like a week of PTO, that I would come back feeling refreshed and revived and ready to go, right? Wrong. So, all that was a signal that something is kind of off balance in my life. And today, I want to walk you through how I started to just really hone in on the fact that it was time for me to make a pivot, to make a change, and to start going after the things that I wanted in life, the things that actually fulfilled me. And I'm just going to talk about how I recognize that. It's possible to create the life that you've dreamed about. I'm AC, and this channel is about reinventing yourself, creating new possibilities, new opportunities, and building a life that feels aligned with who you are. So, if you've ever felt stuck in between where you are now and the life that you see yourself living, you're in the right place. So, for me, one of the big things that I recognized was that on Sundays I was having anxiety. So my Sunday night anxiety started really creeping up. And instead of being on Sunday, it was on Saturday at noon. And I was thinking about how hard the week was going to be or how much I was dreading it. And just kind of that anxiety was going on for a longer period of time. So I was drained before the week even got started. And, I realized that I started taking more and more time off, a week here, maximizing on extended weekends due to holidays, but nothing ever felt like it was enough. Um, I remember a time where I took 2 weeks off at the end of the year. It was in December, and I slept for an entire week. Like, I didn't get up out of my bed. And the next week, I had some activities planned, but the week after that, I went back to work and it started all over. And I was just as drained, just as lifeless as before I left. So that was a key indicator that something was wrong and I needed to make a change. I think the other thing is when something is not right for you, when something is misaligned with your purpose, God kind of allows friction to happen in whatever that is. It could be a job where things feel really, really hard, not just for the moment, but the hardness kind of lingers and it's never like a resting place. It could be a relationship where, you're having like just continuous friction. I think all those things are signs that one, you're misaligned, and two, there's some sort of stress going on that could be alleviated if perhaps you made a different decision or changed something about your situation. And so as I evaluate that pressure that I was feeling, I know that it was God's gentle hand, because it could have been much harder than it has been. But just telling me, Angela, this is not what I have for you. You have to go out and find that thing that is more aligned with who you are as a person. So that's how I started just kind of seeking out more of those opportunities and really trying to find what brought me joy and how I could just be better aligned with some of the things that I like to do. I always pray for God to allow me to walk in my purpose. As I've aged, I think that's one of the biggest prayers that I consistently pray because it's a different type of hell. It's a different type of misery when you are just not walking in the path that God has for you. It feels like walking on hot coals all the time. And that's not something that I felt like I wanted to continue experiencing in my life. So, all of that to say, the discomfort that I felt was actually redirection and just the nudge that I needed to move to the next thing. So, one of the next things that I noticed is that I just wasn't curious about anything that I was doing in my profession. Um, Things that I probably should have been a little more curious about, I had no interest in them. It's really not the most productive way to live. And I was like, okay, if you're not curious about it, then that's a misalignment. The things that really interest you are going to pique your interest. You're going to be curious. You're going to research them. You're going to want to know more. You're going to want to solve, the problems associated with whatever said thing is. And I had lost all curiosity in my day to day, and I realized that the things that I was most curious about were the things that I wanted to pivot to. And, it's media. I was a not a social media, I was a mass communications major in college. So, all the things that I kind of pursue with web and YouTube, all that stuff kind of feels natural to me and more so aligned with um, things that make me happy. So I just decided to try the things that satisfied me and made me feel good. There might not be money involved in it right now, but everything does not have to be tied to money. Sometimes it's all about just getting that internal fulfillment and feeling like you are doing something that you're meant to do. So, this next one is a really big one, and it is your sense of value starts conflicting with your reality. And so, if you've ever had the feeling that what you're doing is so much less or so much less impactful than what you have the capability for doing, then I think that's also a sign that maybe you should be doing something else. That's a major sign. So, um, I think the other part of that is it's very important to, I think, have yourself aligned with your view of yourself. Like, the other thing is, I kind of got sick of feeling like my career and my life was a chess piece in somebody else's game. So somebody in the finance department having the ability to say, you know what, we need to cut here. And this number, this role, this person, this group of people, they can go. So I didn't want anybody else to have control over my life in that way. So that's another way that I knew that it was time for me to pivot and do something different and just discover the things that more so delighted me. You really have to ask yourself the question, am I living at the level of my capability or am I just maintaining comfort? And I think if a lot of us are honest in answering that question, the answer is we're just in a place of comfort. Now that I knew that it was time for me to make a pivot, I started seeing the possibility. And in seeing the possibility, I started like mapping out different scenarios, and it just had nothing to do with what I was currently doing. And I was like, you know what? This can't go on. I can't keep doing something that doesn't feel fulfilling inside. So, those are the ways that I have really just kind of honed in on, you know what? It's time for you to make a pivot. It's time for you to start pursuing the things that you're passionate about, that are curious and interesting to you, to see where they land you. Because if you never try, then you never know. So, if you're feeling any of those things, I just want you to know that being stuck is not a permanent place. Have grace with yourself. Start to be more curious about the things that you're passionate about and just kind of dive inward into the things that you want to do. It doesn't have to be a big, abrupt change in your life, it just takes one step in the direction of your dreams for the rest of it to unfold. So, I'm AC. This is Passion Pivot. If what we've talked about today has resonated with you, share it with a friend. Maybe a friend has a similar circumstance and they might be curious and interested to learn about some of the things that we talked about. But I would love to see you in our next video. So, bye.